Travis Kelce has finally spoken publicly about Taylor Swift, and his words have instantly captured global attention, sparking an emotional response from fans and dominating entertainment news cycles. What began as a routine interview about his NFL career quickly transformed into a moment that many are now calling one of the most sincere celebrity soundbites of the year. During the interview, Kelce was asked about his recent season, his mindset on and off the field, and how he has been handling increased media attention. When Taylor Swift's name was mentioned, the atmosphere noticeably shifted. Kelce paused briefly, smiled, and answered in a calm, measured tone. He described Swift as an incredible person who remains grounded despite living under constant global scrutiny. The simplicity of the statement stood out immediately, with viewers noting that it did not feel rehearsed or designed to generate headlines. Kelce went on to explain that what he respects most is Swift's ability to stay true to herself while navigating intense public pressure. He emphasized the importance of authenticity, adding that being around people who value the small, quiet moments matters more to him now than ever before. While he avoided dramatic language or explicit declarations, the underlying message was clear, and audiences quickly picked up on it. Clips from the interview spread rapidly across social media platforms within minutes of airing. On X, Instagram, and TikTok, fans dissected Kelce's body language, his pauses, and the subtle shift in his tone when discussing Swift. Many Swifties described his response as protective and deeply genuine, contrasting it with the often overly polished answers typically associated with high-profile celebrity relationships. Midway through the interview, Kelce returned to the topic without being prompted. While reflecting on the changes in his life over the past few months, he acknowledged that his schedule had become more demanding and public attention more intense. However, he added that having someone who brings balance and calm has made the experience far more manageable. Though he did not mention Swift by name in that moment, the implication was unmistakable, further fueling online discussion. This moment became a key talking point among entertainment journalists and pop culture analysts. Several outlets highlighted the fact that Kelce did not attempt to capitalize on the relationship for publicity. Instead, his restrained and thoughtful approach was seen as a deliberate effort to maintain privacy and protect something personal in an industry that rarely allows space for it. The interview's closing moments delivered what many viewers considered the emotional peak. When asked how he copes with constant public scrutiny, Kelce responded that, "In the end, what truly matters are the people who make you feel at home. Not the cameras, not the opinions, but the sense of peace that comes from being with the right person." That single sentence quickly became a widely shared quote across major entertainment news outlets. For fans of Taylor Swift, the reaction was immediate and intense. Many connected Kelce's words to recurring themes in Swift's music, particularly her recent focus on emotional safety, stability, and finding comfort after years of turbulence. Comment sections filled with messages praising Kelce for his maturity and for choosing to express care without oversharing. Media coverage following the interview largely agreed on one point. There was nothing sensational about what Travis Kelce said, yet the impact was enormous. In an era where celebrity relationships are often defined by spectacle, his understated remarks felt refreshingly real. Analysts noted that this approach has only strengthened public perception of the relationship rather than diminishing interest. Although neither Travis Kelce nor Taylor Swift has made a formal joint statement about their relationship, Kelce's comments have effectively shaped the narrative. They suggest a connection built on mutual respect, emotional support, and a shared desire for normalcy amid extraordinary fame. As public attention continues to follow every move of the couple, many observers believe this interview marks a defining moment, not because of dramatic revelations, but because of what was left unsaid. With just a few carefully chosen words, Travis Kelce managed to reassure fans, quiet speculation, and offer a glimpse into a relationship that appears steady, intentional, and deeply grounded. For now, fans and media alike are watching closely, aware that this story is still unfolding. But if this interview is any indication, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are choosing to let actions and quiet consistency speak louder than headlines. Following the interview, industry insiders began weighing in on why Travis Kelce's comments resonated so strongly with the public. According to media analysts, the timing played a crucial role. Taylor Swift is currently at a peak where her influence extends far beyond music, touching sports, fashion, and global pop culture. Any statement connected to her is instantly magnified, but Kelce's refusal to sensationalize the relationship shifted the narrative in an unexpected direction. Several entertainment reporters noted that Kelce's approach aligns with a broader cultural shift among audiences who are increasingly skeptical of manufactured celebrity moments. Instead of bold declarations or viral soundbites engineered for clicks, viewers responded to what felt like emotional restraint. In an age of constant oversharing, saying less while meaning more has become a powerful statement. Sports media also picked up on the interview, highlighting how unusual it is for an NFL star of Kelce's stature to handle personal questions with such composure. Commentators pointed out that Kelce has always been known for his confidence and charisma on the field, but this moment revealed a quieter, more reflective side. For many fans, that contrast made the interview even more compelling. Meanwhile, social media engagement continued to surge days after the interview aired. Hashtags combining Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift trended repeatedly, not because of rumors or controversy, but because fans were sharing interpretations of his words. Some focused on his emphasis on balance and calm, while others highlighted his repeated references to gratitude and stability. Short clips paired with soft music flooded TikTok, turning a news interview into an emotional pop culture moment. Public reaction also revealed how deeply Taylor Swift's fanbase connects to narratives of emotional safety and mutual respect. For years, Swift's music has chronicled highly publicized relationships, heartbreak, and the cost of living in the spotlight. Kelce's comments were widely perceived as a contrast to those past experiences, leading many fans to view this relationship as a turning point rather than just another chapter. Entertainment publications began revisiting earlier moments between the two, reframing them through the lens of Kelce's recent statements. Small gestures, such as his appearances at Swift's concerts or her presence at his games, were now interpreted as deliberate but understated acts of support rather than publicity stunts. This reinterpretation further strengthened the narrative of a relationship grounded in mutual understanding. Behind the scenes, sources close to the sports and music industries suggested that both Kelce and Swift are highly aware of the cultural impact they carry as individuals and as a couple. This awareness, according to insiders, is precisely why they have chosen a careful, measured public posture. By allowing interviews like this to speak indirectly, they maintain control over their story without needing constant clarification. The interview also sparked discussion about how male partners of globally famous women are perceived in media. Many commentators praised Kelce for avoiding ego-driven responses and for centering his remarks on respect rather than self-promotion. In opinion pieces published afterward, writers argued that this dynamic resonated particularly strongly with younger audiences who value emotional intelligence as much as success. As days passed, the quote about feeling at home continued to circulate, appearing in headlines, captions, and fan edits. Linguists and pop culture critics even analyzed why the phrase struck such a chord. Unlike traditional celebrity soundbites, the metaphor of home carries emotional universality. It transcends fame, wealth, and status, making it relatable to audiences far removed from the lives of superstars. From a news perspective, the absence of controversy became the story itself. Editors noted that reader engagement remained unusually high for an article that contained no scandal, no conflict, and no exclusives. This anomaly reinforced the idea that audiences are increasingly drawn to authenticity-driven narratives, especially when they involve figures as visible as Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. As speculation continues about what the future holds for the couple, most major outlets agree on one conclusion. This interview marked a shift, not in the status of their relationship, but in how it is framed publicly. Instead of being defined by rumors or external commentary, the narrative is now shaped by tone, restraint, and implication. For now, neither Kelce nor Swift has followed up with additional statements, and that silence appears intentional. In the current media climate, where constant updates are expected, choosing not to elaborate can be just as powerful as speaking. Fans remain attentive, interpreting every appearance and absence with renewed interest. What began as a simple interview answer has evolved into a broader cultural conversation about privacy, respect, and emotional maturity in the public eye. Travis Kelce's words did not just reassure Swifties. They subtly redefined expectations for how high-profile relationships can exist without spectacle. As coverage continues to unfold, one thing remains clear. This story is no longer just about what was said, but about why it mattered. And as long as curiosity around this relationship persists, that single, carefully delivered answer will remain a reference point. Quiet, controlled, and undeniably impactful. The impact of the interview continued to ripple outward, reaching audiences far beyond sports fans and Swifties. Marketing experts began pointing out how rare it is for a single interview response to organically bridge two massive cultural ecosystems: the NFL and global pop music. Travis Kelce's comments were not engineered to do that, yet they managed to dominate both spaces simultaneously, reinforcing the idea that authenticity travels further than strategy. Newsrooms noted a sharp spike in reader retention on articles covering the interview. Unlike typical celebrity news, where readers skim for a headline and move on, this story kept audiences engaged through the final paragraphs. Editors attributed this to the emotional pacing of Kelce's answers. There was no rush, no punchline, no attempt to control the narrative aggressively. Instead, the gradual unfolding of his perspective encouraged readers to slow down and absorb every word. Television segments replayed the clip repeatedly, often muting the commentary to let viewers focus on Kelce's facial expressions and tone. Analysts emphasized that communication is often more about delivery than content, and Kelce's calm demeanor conveyed reassurance rather than excitement. This subtlety, they argued, is precisely why the moment felt so intimate despite being broadcast to millions. At the same time, fan communities began connecting the interview to broader themes in Taylor Swift's recent public image. Over the past few years, Swift has openly discussed reclaiming her privacy, redefining success, and prioritizing peace over constant visibility. Kelce's language appeared to mirror those values, leading many fans to believe the two share a similar emotional framework. This perceived alignment only deepened public interest. International media also joined the conversation. Outlets in Europe and Asia framed the story not just as celebrity news, but as a case study in modern fame. Headlines highlighted how two figures at the top of their respective industries are navigating visibility without surrendering control. In these reports, Kelce's interview was cited as an example of how restraint can be more powerful than exposure. Sports commentators added another layer, noting that Kelce's performance on the field has remained consistent despite the heightened attention around his personal life. Some analysts suggested that the stability he referenced in the interview may be contributing to his focus and confidence during games. While such claims remain speculative, they underscore how closely audiences now link his personal and professional narratives. As the story continued to evolve, older interviews featuring Kelce resurfaced. Viewers compared past responses about fame and relationships with his current tone, observing a noticeable shift toward introspection. This contrast fueled discussions about personal growth and how high-profile relationships can change priorities over time. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift remained characteristically silent. Her lack of public response did not dampen interest. Instead, it amplified it. Fans interpreted her silence as alignment rather than distance, seeing it as a shared decision to let actions, and carefully chosen words, stand on their own. In the context of Kelce's interview, her quiet presence became part of the story. Digital analytics revealed another unexpected trend. The interview attracted a significant number of viewers who did not previously follow either celebrity closely. These new audiences cited curiosity sparked by the emotional tone rather than brand loyalty. This crossover appeal further solidified the interview's status as more than just celebrity gossip. Cultural critics began framing the moment as reflective of a generational shift. Younger audiences, they argued, are less impressed by grand gestures and more drawn to emotional consistency. Kelce's emphasis on calm, balance, and feeling at home aligned closely with these evolving values, explaining why the response resonated so widely as days turned into weeks. The interview remained a reference point in discussions about public relationships. It was quoted in articles about celebrity privacy, dissected in podcasts about media ethics, and even referenced in opinion pieces about masculinity and emotional expression. Each retelling reinforced the same conclusion. The power of the moment lay in its simplicity. Despite ongoing speculation about future appearances and potential joint statements, there has been no indication that either Kelce or Swift intends to change their approach. Insiders suggest that maintaining this level of control allows them to avoid the volatility that often accompanies intense public scrutiny. If true, the interview may serve as a blueprint for how they handle attention moving forward. Ultimately, what keeps this story alive is not a revelation, but a feeling. Travis Kelce did not confirm timelines, future plans, or private details. Instead, he offered a glimpse into a mindset, one that prioritizes grounding over glamour. For audiences accustomed to spectacle, that glimpse felt refreshingly human. As coverage continues and new developments inevitably emerge, this interview will likely remain a defining moment. Not because it answered every question, but because it reframed them. In a media landscape driven by urgency and excess, Travis Kelce's measured response proved that sometimes the quietest words create the loudest impact. As the conversation around the interview persisted, experts in media psychology began offering explanations for why this particular moment lingered so strongly in public memory. They pointed out that audiences are increasingly fatigued by hyper-performative celebrity behavior. In contrast, Travis Kelce's restraint created a vacuum, one that viewers instinctively filled with interpretation, empathy, and emotional investment. The absence of spectacle became the spectacle itself. News outlets tracking engagement metrics reported that articles related to the interview continued to perform well long after the typical news cycle would have moved on. This sustained interest suggested that the story had crossed from breaking news into cultural reference. Readers were not just consuming information, they were revisiting it, sharing it, and discussing it in comment sections with unusual depth for a celebrity-related topic. Several journalists also highlighted how carefully Kelce avoided definitive language. He did not frame his remarks around permanence or future promises, nor did he distance himself emotionally. This balance, present but not predictive, was seen as deliberate. By anchoring his comments in the present moment, Kelce kept the focus on lived experience rather than speculation, a choice that resonated with audiences wary of exaggerated narratives. The broader entertainment industry took notice as well. Public relations professionals described the interview as an example of low-exposure, high-impact communication. Rather than saturating the media with repeated statements, one carefully handled appearance shaped weeks of coverage. For many observers, this reinforced the idea that controlling tone can be more effective than controlling frequency. In parallel, the story sparked renewed discussion about how fame affects personal identity. Commentators noted that both Kelce and Swift occupy spaces where their individual brands are constantly under negotiation. Every public appearance risks redefining how they are perceived. Against that backdrop, Kelce's insistence on grounding and emotional clarity read as a conscious effort to preserve a sense of self beyond public roles. International fans added their own interpretations, often viewing the interview through the lens of cultural differences in expressing affection. In several regions, media framed Kelce's comments as an example of understated devotion, contrasting it with more overt displays common in celebrity culture. This global reframing further expanded the story's reach and relevance. Sports analysts, meanwhile, continued to speculate carefully about whether this personal stability might influence Kelce's long-term career decisions. While avoiding direct claims, some suggested that athletes who feel supported off the field often demonstrate greater consistency on it. Though impossible to quantify, the idea became part of the ongoing narrative linking his professional performance with his personal life. As attention remained high, older quotes from Taylor Swift interviews resurfaced, particularly those referencing the desire for peace, normalcy, and emotional safety. Fans and commentators juxtaposed those remarks with Kelce's recent words, drawing parallels that felt too precise to ignore. This alignment strengthened the perception of shared values, even in the absence of direct confirmation. Importantly, the story also prompted reflection on audience responsibility. Media ethicists wrote opinion pieces questioning how much access the public should expect to the private lives of public figures. Kelce's interview was cited as a rare example of setting boundaries without confrontation, offering enough insight to satisfy curiosity while withholding details that belong off-camera. The sustained focus eventually shifted from what the relationship is to what it represents. For many, it became symbolic of a broader recalibration in celebrity culture. a move away from constant visibility toward selective presence. Kelce's words served as a touchstone in that conversation, illustrating how public figures can participate without surrendering control. Despite continued interest, the lack of follow-up interviews or clarifications has only reinforced the original message. Each day without additional commentary has been interpreted as consistency rather than avoidance. In a landscape where silence often triggers speculation, this silence has instead communicated confidence. As new headlines inevitably emerge, the interview remains a point of reference, frequently cited to contextualize subsequent appearances or absences. It has become shorthand for a particular approach, measured, grounded, and emotionally intelligent. For Travis Kelce, it marked a moment where public perception shifted subtly but decisively in the end. The enduring power of the story lies in its restraint. There were no dramatic revelations, no exclusive confirmations, no carefully staged moments. Just a few sentences delivered with intention, carrying enough weight to sustain weeks of conversation. In modern media, where volume often overshadows meaning, that alone is newsworthy. And as audiences continue to watch, analyze, and interpret, one conclusion remains widely shared across coverage. Sometimes the most impactful stories are not driven by what is revealed, but by what is respected. As weeks passed, the interview gradually took on a life of its own, evolving from a single news item into a broader cultural touchpoint. Editors began referencing it when covering unrelated stories about celebrity relationships, often using Travis Kelce's remarks as a contrast to more volatile or performative public romances. The comparison was subtle but consistent, reinforcing the idea that this moment represented a different model of visibility. Audience behavior supported that interpretation. Comment sections across major news platforms showed unusually thoughtful engagement. Rather than arguing or speculating aggressively, readers reflected on the themes of respect, emotional safety, and balance. Many commenters noted that Kelce's words reminded them of what healthy support looks like in their own lives, further blurring the line between celebrity news and personal resonance. From a business perspective, the story also revealed how emotional credibility can influence brand perception. Marketing analysts observed that Kelce's image, already strong due to his athletic success, appeared to gain a new layer of depth. He was no longer seen solely as a charismatic sports star, but as someone capable of emotional nuance. This shift, analysts suggested, could have long-term implications for how athletes are positioned in mainstream culture. The music industry responded in quieter ways. While Taylor Swift did not comment publicly, fans paid closer attention to subtle cues during her subsequent appearances. Lyrics, stage visuals, and offhand remarks were re-examined through the lens of Kelce's interview. Even neutral moments were interpreted as intentional restraint, reinforcing the perception of alignment rather than contradiction. Journalists covering pop culture trends began framing the story as part of a wider movement toward intentional privacy. They cited examples of other public figures who have recently scaled back personal disclosures, suggesting that audiences may be rewarding discretion more than oversharing. In that context, Kelce's interview was frequently cited as a textbook example of how to engage without exploiting intimacy. Academic voices joined the conversation as well. Sociologists studying fame and media attention referenced the interview in discussions about parasocial relationships. They argued that Kelce's approach disrupted the usual dynamic, offering warmth without inviting entitlement. This balance, they noted, may help recalibrate how audiences relate to public figures over time. Meanwhile, international coverage continued to reinterpret the story for different cultural audiences. In some regions, the emphasis was placed on Kelce's composure and discipline, qualities highly valued in public discourse. In others, the focus shifted to emotional maturity and partnership. Each framing added another layer to the narrative, expanding its relevance beyond its original context. Despite the sustained attention, there was no escalation. No exclusive follow-up, no coordinated appearances, no attempts to capitalize on momentum. This absence of amplification became part of the story itself. Media watchers described it as a rare example of narrative restraint in an ecosystem built on acceleration. Over time, the interview began to function less as a news event and more as a reference point. Writers would cite it with a brief line, as Kelce once put it, before moving on. Yet even in passing, the quote carried weight. It signaled a particular stance toward fame, relationships, and self-possession. As the calendar moved forward and headlines shifted, interest did not disappear. It settled. The story became background context rather than front-page urgency. This transition marked its final transformation, from viral moment to embedded narrative.